Hey guys, reacting to SmackDown from Barcelona, and I'd say an eventful night. A lot of stuff happened, but the main event is really what I want to talk about here. The Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, for after 4 years, hard to believe. After 4 years, the Street Profits are tag team champions again. I can't believe it actually that it's been that long since they lost it. And trivia question, like, it was two guys, one who's not even wrestling anymore, and one who's not in another is in another company, and ironically turned heel tonight in Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler. So the Dirty Dogs were the last team that took the titles from them. And the Street Profits went through a run of just bangers with the Usos. The Usos held those titles for close to 2 years, and it just in a roundabout way they could never get back to the tag team titles, but they've always universe. And then they had the weird pairing with Bobby Lashley where they randomly turned heel in 2023. They've really just been, kind of in the middle. And now this tag team division is really like, kind of evolved, and really become more, especially on SmackDown, where there's a lot of interesting teams that are really involved in the tag team picture, that more so than the Raw teams. And probably the Lucha Brothers are going to end up on Raw because they really need to be there in terms of, like, even though Ray Phoenix was hinted at on this show. But I got to give my props to Tez and Docs, because these guys are self-made men. And they're an example of what, perseverance and, just, dedication to what they're doing. They consistently went out there. They never complained. They always went out there and did highlights. Hell, Montez Ford had a great showing in an Elimination Chamber as a singles wrestler back in 2023. And these guys consistently just delivered. I was at the tag team showcase at WrestleMania 39, one of the better matches on that show, because just Tez and Dawkins, and everybody talks about Montez Ford and, just how much of a freak athlete he is, and, considering who his wife is. Whenever they decide to make kids, whoever their whatever their kid, how many kids they have, like, they're going to be freakish athletes, and they'll probably end up being wrestlers or a basketball player or something. Like, the athleticism in that household is insane. But everybody talks about Montez and how great he is as an athlete, but these guys are like the perfect team. And I think Tez and his, like, accolades and, like, his hype, as has really rubbed off on Dawkins in terms of, like, he's slimmed down, he's become more of a more been able to do more of high flying maneuvers. And this team has just really molded itself despite not holding the titles for 4 years. And yeah, there's some of their pizzazz has really worn off, because some of the booking has been really weird, in terms of what they've been doing. Like I said, that whole Lashley thing was odd, and they did have that match at WrestleMania in that 6 man. But it like I said, when I heard that, and I heard that they were building this up to tonight, and then obviously seeing them win it, yeah, like I said, January of 21 was the last time they held tag team titles. And it's not for the lack of trying. Like, they've been in matches, and, they should have probably beaten, they could have beaten the Usos, but we know why that held on to it. And then, the tag team titles were merged and, like, became undisputed. They became unified. And it's just like the whole thing became very convoluted. The tag team division really in WWE for a long time has not been strong, but now it is as strong as ever. So I really expect this team to really have a great run with the titles. That being said, the guys who they took it from, I don't know what's going on with DIY. I liked what they did to get them as heels, but it seems like this was kind of an abrupt end for them. But it felt kind of fitting with what the story was being told, that, you were kind of keeping the Street Profits away from this. And then, having them come back at the Royal Rumble, and, um, are they heels? Are they not? It seems like they're going to be baby faces. But like I said, more than anything, I'm just happy for these guys, because it takes a lot to go 4 years without holding a championship in any promotion, and like any championship, because and these guys are tag wrestlers, and they've never held, like Kevin Owens hasn't held a single champ, but he won the tag team titles at WrestleMania 39. It's like Sami Zayn, he hadn't held a championship, but he's also now held an Intercontinental title. So it's like it it's really hard to, go through that long, and also through a transition into a different booker in Triple H. And then you go through these gimmick changes, you go with Lashley and all this. And it's just this roundabout way to get back to the core of what these guys were in NXT and why they got over. We want the smoke. They're freak athletes. Like I mean, Montez is obviously very charismatic, and I don't think Dawkins gets nearly as much credit for how charismatic he is. They've kind of been loosely associated with BFAB, so it'll be interesting to see if they get that whole group back together. If this is just going to be solely them, leading the tag team division into WrestleMania, and we'll see, what ultimately comes of this. Pretty Deadly has next, which will be interesting. That being said, I didn't expect this, to be honest with you, given the fact that Tez and Dawkins were, you know, like they'd been floating around the thing, and just like it seemed like it was kind of there for the taking, but it was the right moment to do something at a hot crowd in Barcelona. It's just like I said, it felt like DIY was really just getting started. But a lot of these short title reigns, and we've already had a bunch of shock moments in the last like 3 or 4 weeks. So here we are. It'll be interesting to see if they go with a multi-team thing, something like a ladder match, maybe at WrestleMania. But I'd love to see the Street Profits be involved at WrestleMania. Um, it's they've been a part of. I think we go back. Like they were, I don't think they were at 37, but at 36, they were the champions there. That was the COVID Mania. That was where Bianca debuted. 37, they weren't involved. 38, triple threat, which was a great match with Alpha Academy when Gable and Otis were still together, and RK Bro. And then 39 tag team showcase that I told you about. And then last year, that weird 6-man with the Final Testament going up against Lashley and the Profits. So, but I'm excited and I'm very happy. Like I said, seeing two guys who I really think, for whatever reason, have gotten lost in the shuffle. They figured it out, and they were able to have a moment here, and hopefully this means that they're really going to support them and get back some of the momentum that they had, you know, when they were first on the roster, and then like when we finally started having fans back, like people recognize how good these guys are. So but yeah, that was the most noteworthy piece of news coming out of the show. I mean, finally, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair had something happen in their feud. I mean, Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest heating something up for their WrestleMania match, presumably. But it's interesting that a lot of this is starting to take shape. Overall, a good SmackDown. I think it's going to be beneficial to both Raw and SmackDown that their products are going to be international for the rest of the month. So that way we could actually maybe it'll, bring in some better booking. Cause that's been the problem. The crowds have been kind of and some of the stuff really outside of the obvious, angles really has not been great. So, that's really my takeaway from this SmackDown. We'll have a lot more coming here on the channel. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.